Good morning, everyone. We're getting, actually, I do truly wish you a good morning, but it's actually a sound check here for Judy, so hopefully you can hear us okay. And once again, good morning. Thank you for being here at the Farmland Community Center in beautiful downtown Farmland, Indiana. I have got to say a big thank you to Linda Morris and her crew. They've done a fantastic job. They had the room all set up, checking to make sure we could get tables, chairs, enough for everybody. But they're so busy here, they had to put them up, take them down, put them up, take them down, and line dancing and all the other things that are going on here.
Can I take a minute just to introduce board members in the audience?
Please do, sure.
Okay. Linda Morris, I am currently Historic Farmland USA's board president. Vice president is Curtis Cunningham. Yay. Secretary treasurer is Chris Bunner. Yay. Board member Judy Cole. Whom have I missed? Wonderful. And then this facility also houses the Main Street Senior Center. If you do not know about our senior center, see me later and I'll fill you in. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda, and again, great job, great job. I do also want to thank Dr. Donut, a new business in this area in the Parker City community. Dr. Donut has our donuts, so be sure and take one with you on the way out. There'll be plenty. Let's see, other thank yous. Who else do we need to thank for all their efforts? Of course, Randolph County United for helping to put this together. Today's program is a little different. Normally we talk about business services and marketing and so on, but this is a state of the county, state of the cities, and then you each, if you didn't get one, let me know. This is sort of a summary of the state of our towns in Randolph County, and I think you'll agree there's actually quite a bit going on. So with that, I'm going to begin. I'll introduce our first speaker. Mike Wickersham is president of the Randolph County Commissioners. And Mike, you are in year number 6? 9 years, oh my goodness. Okay, so Mike has been, helping to lead the county for a long time. But this is an opportunity for us all to hear about what's happening in the county, what's projected in the future, and so on. So with that, let's give a big warm welcome for County Commissioner Mike Wickersham.
Well, thank you. I always expect that on Monday morning at a commissioners meeting, but I never received that, so it's nice to hear that. As Greg said, I'm Mike Wickersham. I'm the president of the county commissioners, and I represent the middle district in the county. I serve with Gary Gerton, who represents the eastern district, and Tom Chalfant, who represents the western district. So as I speak here this morning, I've been asked to talk about the county, what I consider to be the county's 2021 biggest accomplishment, what I consider the county's 2022 biggest goal or challenge, and then to talk about Randolph United's effort over the past few years of cultivating communities and how the county can be involved in that, or how the county has been involved in that. So I want to say that these are my thoughts, and if you ask anybody what the biggest accomplishment in 2021 for the county was, you're going to get a different answer. I polled my neighbors this morning. I live on Old 27 South, and all of them said the biggest accomplishment was the paving of Old 27 South, which is one of the finest roads in the county today, which I will say as a citizen I am a benefactor of it, but they tell me out there that it's been over 50 years since that road had any work done to it. So it was one of the poorest, most traveled roads in the county. So my neighbors think that. For me, I think I come to two major accomplishments. One is infrastructurally wise, we finished the emergency communication project that involved the building of 3 emergency communication towers, involved the replacement of the county's 911 emergency equipment, and then all the connectivity to it. The county bonded for that project, and it was about a $3.5 million project. And it didn't go online in 2021, but it did go online early in 2022, and they're out there testing now to make sure everything is connected. And what that does for the county, it increases the connectivity through radio with our emergency service providers throughout the county, so that Ridgeville can connect with the service wherever they might be. One of the biggest difficulties we had prior to the replacement was in school buildings, where you would lose signal and you wouldn't be able to connect the way you would choose to. Those sort of things put officers, emergency personnel, and the public in general in harm's way if you can't have that connection. So that's a really big accomplishment, I think, and I mean, as a commissioner, someone came to us and said there's a need. Someone came to us and said this is the way we should solve that need. And our job at that point in time is pretty easy, in a sense of we found the money to do it and hired the firm to do it, and hopefully they do it in a successful way. The second biggest accomplishment, I know I said there was one, but there is two. And we hired in 2021 a highway engineer. His name's Joe Copeland, and Joe has connection to Randolph County. His uncle actually was a dentist in Randolph County back in the 60s and 70s. But Joe is a highway engineer and has been for several years. And we hired him in 2021 as a part-time highway engineer. He serves both Randolph and Henry County. We share in his salary, we share in his benefits, and we share in his expenses. And in return, each county gets a stipend back from the state of Indiana of $40,000. So it's a pretty economical way to have a county highway engineer. We've never had a county highway engineer, to my knowledge, and the engineer serves two purposes. His main function is to concentrate on bridges and culverts, but his expertise gives us the opportunity on many bridges and many culverts to use his services to engineer the replacement or repair of those bridges. And if we don't have a highway engineer to do that, then we pay an outside engineering firm, which in discussions with outside engineering firms, if he can find 8 to 10 bridges in the county, which with there being over 200 bridges in the county, I think he can find those that need repair or replacement. He can do the engineering work on that within his job function, whereas an engineering firm could charge and would charge somewhere between $60,000 to $75,000 per bridge. So in the long term, as long as we can keep Joe in our service, it's going to be a benefit financially to the county. And he's already benefited us in a big way, and he has an 8-year bridge plan. He's told us how he's going to fund that bridge plan and told us what he needs from the county in order to fund that bridge plan. So we have the information, we have the knowledge, and we just have to implement that plan. And the county, from a bridge perspective, has not been in that position before. The other added benefit, it relieves our county highway superintendent, Mike Hafner, of the responsibility of bridge work, not only the actual bidding and the engineering, but it also relieves him of the responsibility with dealing with the state of Indiana on going about getting those funded. So it frees up Mike to be concentrating on highway office supervision and roads and street activities. So we look for a big improvement in that respect too. My biggest goal in 2022, and I hope the county council and county commissioners would agree with it, is that we're in the process of reviewing all the county employees' salaries. We found through study that, well, first of all, we found through attrition, we've been losing some good quality talent in many of our departments, and we found through study that our employees, their salaries that we pay them don't measure up to neighboring counties and counties of our size and population. So we've started a salary study committee that consists of myself, Dave Linkenstoffer, Bev Fields, and Max Holliday, the last three all being council members who control the purse. And we're looking into raising those salaries up to what I think would be a more fair compensation and competitive compensation for many employees in the county. So that is the biggest goal I have. And with that, I'm going to go into the cultivating communities, which I hope all are aware of, but that creates the 5 pillars of quality of life, business retention and expansion, education, housing, and internet connectivity. And with quality of life, I want to say that my second biggest goal in the county, which I've been working on for, I don't know, 3, maybe 6 years, Greg, I don't know how long, but that is our trail system. Randolph County has a few trail system, a little bit in Union City, and then, as you know, Cardinal Greenway crosses Randolph County through Losantville. And Cardinal Greenway, considered among bicyclists around the country, is one of the finest trails in the nation. And we need to capitalize on that. And I have an idea, and we, I don't know, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, the county did support the Beeson Park Trail, which didn't, it qualified for a state grant, but it didn't come to fruition. It didn't happen. But I think going forward, I think this may be a year that we at least start a trail somewhere, so we can say we've started a trail in 2022. With business expansion and retention, we've always been supportive of Randolph United and their efforts to help businesses, whether through grants or loans. And I think when asked, I think the county is in a position and would continue to do that when asked. Housing, everybody I think realizes that housing is something that is strongly needed in the county. And I think the county, when asked again, has stepped up and helped in that situation. Winchester has a new subdivision happening, and the county supported some infrastructure needs with that. And then recently, the town of Lynn, the town of Modoc, and the town of Losantville have all come to the county requesting engineering funds to support their grant applications for sewer projects in Losantville and Modoc, and a water project in Lynn. And although the county didn't grant those money to them, they did loan that money to them with the hopes that those projects will be approved and that those loans would be repaid. Excellent in education. We all, and I'm a firm believer that for this county to stop its population loss, for this county to grow, we're going to have to have an education system in all communities throughout the county that compares with our not too far neighbors of, let's say, Yorktown or Noblesville or those school areas. We have in the past, we haven't been asked recently, but we have in the past supported education throughout the county when those programs help the entire county. We've helped Monroe Central with an agribusiness program. We've helped Winchester with welding and technology trade programs, and we've helped Randolph Eastern with K.I.S.S TV. So again, when asked, we tend to find a way to help. Finally, the broadband infrastructure. We've dedicated $400,000 to date to locate and build a broadband tower in what the county's technology committee determines to be a northwest part of the county where there's an absence of broadband connectivity, and that project is ongoing. Finally, I've been asked to offer you what kind of help do we need moving forward. The help I would say we need moving forward is that we need to be aware of what's happening in your communities, what your needs are, and how we can help. If you don't ask, you're not going to get a yes. If you do ask, you may get a yes or you may get a no. So, but unless you ask, you're not going to get an answer. With that, I don't know if I'm supposed to take questions or not.
We'll do it at the end.
We'll do the questions at the end. So thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Mike. At these events in the past, we've always gone around the room and introduced ourselves. Not today. We want to make sure we have plenty of time for our speakers. So hopefully everybody's got a name tag. Hopefully before we started, you had a chance to, these are called coffee and collaboration. The collaboration part is you get to meet other people. So whether it's at the beginning or at the end, feel free to mix and mingle and get to know some of your counterparts in the business community and social services and so on. Next we have Mayor Bob McCoy of the city of Winchester. And Mayor McCoy, how many years have you been mayor? Come on up.
Going on the third.
He's been there 3 years. Mayor, thank you for being with us, and let's give him a big welcome.
I'm not sure whether I even want to count the first year. With COVID, we kind of got off to I call it kind of a roaring start, and then everything kind of come to a screeching halt. Excuse me, everybody remember Froggy from our gang? That's me today. But I kind of ran on, when I ran for office, quality of life, sidewalks, housing, blight, and we've kind of stuck to that same ideas. And another thing that kind of stuck out to me was our debt. So first thing I attacked was having Baker Tilly analyze our debt and refinancing of bonds. So we had bonds out there that were anywhere between 4% and 6%. So we got them bonds knocked down, in some cases under 1%, and then it kind of slides up to the 2% range. So there was a huge savings there by refinancing them bonds, and actually the refinancing of them bonds allowed us to get the infrastructure started at Willow Ridge, like Mike had talked about, and the commissioners are helping with getting the water infrastructure put in. We're talking 18 homes in the future out there, which is a big boost and kind of goes along with what Cultivating Communities is talking about, back to quality of life. With that, back to COVID, ARP funds, COVID funds, K.I.S.S Act. Although COVID was not in my plan, it was a big help to our community. In many ways, we were able to purchase 4 new police cars, tasers for our officers, body cams, security for the city building, elimination of the drive-through window, and then continuing taking houses down. So right now we're at 12, and we're looking to take another 4 down yet this spring. Some of the houses probably haven't been lived in for many years. Some of them were very bad shape. Actually, the owner of the home actually basically said, "Hey, I'll sign it over." So we've been kind of working that angle with houses that are blighted, citing them into court in some cases, and basically saying, "Hey, you know, this needs to be a home that somebody can live in. If you wouldn't live in it yourself, then you know you have no business renting to somebody." And in a lot of cases, they'll agree to sign it over and not go through the whole process. So that's been, in my opinion, successful, and we're continuing to work on that as well. Back to quality of life. Part of that is, you know, cleaning up our neighborhoods, blighted properties, as well as abandoned vehicles. So we've kind of attacked the abandoned vehicle thing as well. Purchased some software that helps our ordinance officer go around and do a better job of tracking. So that whole thing, I'm hoping it's making Winchester look better and cleaner. So we've been working on that quite a bit. I spoke about housing at Willow Ridge. We're also working on a housing subdivision north of town on Old 27, where we're looking at a possibility of 12 homes. Another good thing about the ARP money is part of the ARP money is going to be used to fund the infrastructure out there as well, and through our sewage utility plant, we'll be able to get that subdivision started and basically fund a good portion of it with very little help. But I will take more from Mike if he'll give it to me. Sidewalks, we continue to try to put as many sidewalks down as we can. We focus on schools, working our way out from the school, and sometimes working our way from town outward, trying to pick the ones that are the worst, a lot with trees growing in them, which a tree sometimes can run anywhere between $1,000 to $1,500, $2,000 to take out. So I'm working on a stretch of sidewalk right now that's probably gonna be $40,000 just for one sidewalk on one street on, I think it's on Franklin. Currently, we're working on what we call a stormwater utility. I know nobody's gonna be thrilled about this, but if you haven't noticed, when we get rains anymore, we just don't get sprinkles, we get floods. There's areas in Winchester that for many years have never drained right, just inadequate drainage. So we're working with this stormwater utility to basically come up with a list of projects, and this will be something that will actually be a tax, which again nobody likes, but it'll go on the property tax like a ditch assessment. With homes being valued with what they call an EU, which like a home might be valued at $2 a month in the tax, but then you look at like larger buildings and churches and hospitals and things like that, they will be paying that tax also. Currently, your hospitals and your schools and your churches do not pay property taxes, so all the services we provide to them, basically everybody else is absorbing. So this ditch tax or the stormwater utility will actually allow us to start getting that drainage in place and making the town drain better in the future. We're going to continue to promote the Winchester Speedway. I think that's a gold mine out there, and we need to do everything we can to, for one thing, get them internet out there and promote races and kind of bring that back to its glory. When you know, you drove through town, you knew a race was going on, and you know, that's just a very valuable asset to Winchester, and we need to help them all we can. We receive money from a Goodrich Trust every year, which that's kind of a thing that only Winchester sees, and it anywhere between $125,000 to $175,000 a year is coming from that Goodrich Trust, which allows us to put in all-inclusive playground equipment recently, upgrade our diamonds, just a variety of things that happens in the park, paving of all our trails, different things like that. And the last time I met with them, I asked for them to support a splash pad. So they did approve that, and I think they $165,000 went towards the splash pad grant. We were awarded the grant by the state. We're waiting on federal approval, so we're about 99% sure we will have a splash pad in Winchester probably 2023 and maybe 2024 before it all gets done. So that being another area in Winchester that back to the quality of life thing. The pool always closes August, still warm, but we don't have no lifeguards, and that just seems to be a problem everywhere. Continue to have concerts at our park. I think we've got one of the biggest lineups we've had in a long time this year, with lots of sponsors to help that. I also support that through our edit funds. With gas being the price it is right now, I would hope people would take advantage of that and stay close to home. Support our local businesses. We continue to try to help out downtown as much as we can. Bringing softball, more softball to Winchester. The Labor Day tourney has grown, bringing Little League back. Tennis courts, got pickleball. There's just a lot going on in the park. We have a park director that actually promotes all them events along with that. So the hope is to, again, back to the quality of life, bring people to Winchester, have them spend money here, and just make it a better place to live for everybody, make it a clean place. When people, you know, your first impression of driving in, we want that to be a good impression, not a bad impression. And we've got a long way to go, but I think we're getting there. So that's really all I have. One thing I would like to add, local cooperation, and I've talked to Chad about this, you know, and all our communities. I think we need to be, you know, if farmland needs something, we need to be all over that. If they, you know, we need to share resources. And I think we did that with a lot of communities, working with the EMS, and I think that's just a big plus. Since we're small, we need to do that. And also, we need to pay attention to what's going on at the State House. We need to, highlight them bills that are up there every session and follow them bills through and make your voice heard if you don't agree, because I think a lot of things happen and it's done before anybody realizes it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mayor. So next we have Union City Mayor Chad Spence. He's got a little bit of, he's got some pictures that we're going to put on the screen, so he's going to get that set up. While he's doing that, Drew, I'm going to come down and interview the youngest person here today, okay? Well, yeah. So there's a guy who's starting them out right. Bring them when they're young so they understand community development. I love that. So if you are a member of the Business Retention Committee, Coffee and Collaboration Committee, let people see who's helping put all this stuff together. We got Luke, yeah, Paul, Jackie, yeah, everybody. Thank you so much for your help in making this happen. As we mentioned earlier, we're going to have questions and answers at the end. So I hope if you've got a question, just kind of keep that in your mind. So Chad, what do you think? We ready to go? Sure. Okay. So Mayor Spence has, I think you were just in your second, you're going on your third.
Yes, correct.
Third year.
Yep.
So again, new young leadership in our county, lots of good things happening. So let's welcome Union City's Mayor Chad Spence.
Thank you, Greg. Well, good morning. My goodness, good to see all your smiling faces, and I mean that honestly. Bob mentioned something about first impression. And there's something that has stood with me for a long time, ever since the moment I heard it. And it was a story about Disney. I'm sure many of you, if not every single soul in this room, has heard Disney and is very familiar. Meetings that they would do, at least at one point in time, they'd have everybody gathered in the room, pretty much like this. March 10th. We'll take today, for example, 2022. And the gentleman's up at the front, and he's looking at everybody intently in the crowd. And he's letting everybody know that today, March 10th, 2022, families have been planning, maybe some for years, to come to our park today. They've been planning what to them is a lifetime to come to Disney. And we've got one shot. We've got one chance to make it the trip of a lifetime. That's a first impression. That's the impression that I sought and am seeking and will continue to seek for Union City. When somebody comes to town, I want them knowing that they're welcomed. I want them to know that they're loved if they spend some time there. And I want them to remember Union City fondly. Anybody that lives there, it's always home. Anybody that's ever traveled through there, we'd love it to be your home. That's Union City. So we definitely want to be a city on the move. And sometimes I mean that literally. Sometimes we literally are a city on the move. Last year we were very blessed, that helped spearheaded by the efforts of Bill Corbin, who's sitting in our audience, put together a campaign that was second to none because we had the challenge from Patronicity in the state. They said if you raise $50,000 in 60 days, we will give you $50,000. If you raise $40,999.99, you don't get anything. So we worked fervently, and we raised $57,000 in 60 days, and we moved a rail tower. We saved it from demolition. And some people think, oh, it's a brick building. What are you excited about a rail tower? Well, we had no restrooms in our downtown park, Artisan Crossing. And we had rail historians that were in love with this structure too, because it's unique, because it was the centerpiece of what was known as the Big Four. In other words, the Big Four railroads back in the day in the nation, they all intersected through Union City. You go down to Caroline Park down in Dayton. They've got a huge museum down there and honoring Dayton history and so forth. Union City is the most prominently mentioned town of all the dark in Randolph County. Union City is the most prominently mentioned in the history in the area because of its lore, if you will, in rail history. And that's how we existed. It was the railroad. But we can't live on the past alone, can we? We've got to move forward. We've got to think differently. This is what was known as the Green Monster, not the affectionate thing that sits in left field in Boston, certainly, but it was a monstrosity sitting in downtown Union City. And this thing almost would speak to me when I would drive through town. I hated seeing this building. I used to buy my baseball cards here. It used to be the apothecary shop. Now it's this old boarded up green whatever. That can't happen. Are we not capable of more? And so I had a vision of how can we bring this building back to life? And I had to look at our community. I was like, okay, what do we do well? Everybody and everything, there's something good about something or someone. Woe to us if we've stopped working to find that. We've become such a divisive culture that if you don't think exactly like me or you don't do exactly like me, I don't want anything to do with you and you're no good. That's not fair. We all have tremendous value. We all have much to offer. And our resources in our community have much to offer. So I looked at the community. A couple things we do well. I looked at our school. K.I.S.S TV. And Apache. I talked to my daughter about Apache. There's a print shop in the school, and I talked to her about it because she had went through it, and she goes, Dad, they make money. They do extremely well. It's like, I didn't really know anything about it. And most people in the community don't, unless you're affiliated directly with the school. And K.I.S.S, it's one of only 4 independent or school-owned TV stations in the state of Indiana. So if you do something that's unique, if you do it well, put it out there for the world to see. And so I was like, how can we collaborate and how can we bring that downtown? How can we put them on center stage? So by the grace of Missy Williams, she helped coordinate a meeting. I was so thankful for her efforts. She's such a godsend to the community. And she coordinated a meeting with me for Ball State University, which is actually my alum. But I met with the dean of the College of Communications. And we sat down. We had a wonderful meeting. And I shared my vision. I didn't even have this picture at the time, but I shared my vision. And she said, your timing is perfect because we're actually trying to work very diligently with our kids and getting them into immersive learning. We want our kids getting out into the communities. And so the thought was, your kids come over and work with our kids. We'll send our kids over to work with your kids. We want that collaboration, and we want to raise the bar. And the beauty of this is, too, this is available through all of Randolph County. And I just had a discussion yesterday with the principal of, or 2 days ago, with the principal of Ansonia High School, and I'm going to be meeting with Mrs. Seminole Valley, too. We want to extend it to Ohio, too. We want it to be a regional impact of what's available through K.I.S.S in Vision Corner. So they were totally on board. And Aaron Black, who is a very forward-thinking superintendent, he is a phenomenal gentleman and human being and a tremendous asset to the school and to the community. He was on board too because we see the need to think differently. And so, as happenstance would have it, the Ball State Architecture program got wind of this, so they did their second semester project, the architecture of the graduates. This was their project. And so we got this for free. They're designed, we got a 54-page study on Vision Corner on the Kerr building, as it was originally called. And this is where it stands today, a far cry from where it will still be. In just 2 months, you're gonna see an entire glass front restored on that bottom floor. You're gonna see the structure off to your right, what was the old Miami Theater, now it's just a ugly metal blue facade. You're gonna see that restored to make it look like what was once the Miami Theater. But what used to be the movie, I don't know, help me here with terminology, the signage for the movies. Mark, thank you. That's such a hard word. The marquee, we will have a marquee up front, but it will be basically a digital sign, if approved by the county, to promote what's going on in the community. So it will look like a movie theater once again. And then down the way, you'll see those 2 green buildings. They will be repainted and the new facade as well. And so we will have a brand new corner But that's just the beginning, okay? In order to fill, one of my goals, and I should have prefaced this entire conversation, my 2 goals when I started was downtown and housing. I'm a firm believer that if you're a jack of all trades, you're really a master of none. So I wanted to really focus and make impact on 2 specific areas in our community to help us make that great first impression. And so I want every square foot being utilized. And so the upstairs, we have nowhere for people to stay in industry when they come into town, nowhere. So I thought, well, if we put corporate suites up above. So that was the initial thought. But as Bill and I, because Bill's kind of our unofficial communications liaison, as he shared with me, he goes, we've got to think bigger on this. We've got to think bigger and better, and post-secondary education is where it's at in today's society, and that's what we really need to hone in on. And so that's the path we started. And so not only have we had discussion with Ball State, but we've also entered into discussion with Ivy Tech to the point now where we are getting into detail. They have already committed to 2 classrooms up top. We will have classroom space on the 2nd floor, and those classrooms will be dedicated to very specific skill sets to help further our community and our county. And by that I mean I reached out to the industries. I've reached out to Workhorse, who is taking on a second life, and just great things are yet to come. I reached out to Frank Miller Lumber, long-standing pillar of our community. I reached out to Rob Likens, entrepreneur in our community. I reached out to individuals in the community who have been very familiar and very intimate with industry and leading industry and hiring people and trying to train people. I said, what are we missing? What are the skill sets that you need to see improved, and what are the skill sets you want to see more of when people come in to apply for a job? So we can move the needle in Union City and move the needle in Randolph County. They quickly delivered those to me. And so I delivered those to Ivy Tech, and bam, Ivy Tech said, this is what we can offer, and this is what we can do. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to sharpen our saw. And we're going to create a workforce that is second to none in this region. So this is all of a sudden meeting pillars for Randolph County, because it's not only creating place, it's meeting education, it's meeting workforce, it's meeting business development. It's meeting these needs and taking us another rung up the ladder, because we are capable. And we've got to think that every day when we get up out of bed. We've got to think we are capable of anything that's in front of us. We can't lose our way. Because you know one thing about this building that drives me nuts? This building wasn't built with a single power tool. Horses and wagons carried these bricks and these lumber. They carried this up to this spot and built this by hand. Are we not capable of more? Have we not learned more? Have we not developed? So this is just the beginning, folks. I could stand here all day and talk about all the things we're doing to create place and to improve our community. I mean, this is an outdoor dining space down the way in an alley that we closed. We put up canopy lighting. We put up we've got a mural that's painted on the side there to reflect old time Union City back in the day. And those aren't even the tables you'll see down the road, because we've connected with a table manufacturer in Dark County, builds them by hand, who's going to supply the next set. But to the left, you don't see is the deli that's coming in literally in weeks. To the right, what you don't see is a microbrewery that's coming in. We're expanding our downtown to create place. This is our coffee shop, Hometown Coffee. This was what was once known as a sweet shop. I got to hear stories ad nauseum from mom and dad about how this was the hangout. This was the place to go. It was packed. It was where everybody was at after school. We don't have that downtown. But amazing, like kids nowadays, they're not just drinking sodas, they're drinking coffee. Coffee's become the big thing. And I did a lot of research. What are small businesses that survive in small towns? Coffee shops always at the top of the list. And so we've got to do something there. So by the grace of Greg Beimer, I told Greg what I had in mind. We were having a meal one day in Winchester, and I told him, I said, this is my thoughts. And this is before I even took office. He goes, I've got somebody I want you to talk to. And it was Travis and Angie of Hometown Coffee, a wonderful couple. And I shared with him, he thought I was coming over just basically to to say, hey, can you give me some tips on how to start a coffee shop and all that? He had no idea I was courting him to start a coffee shop in Union City. As we talked and we kind of come to agreement that this was something we could do. And so this was a building that we owned, the city owned, but it was sitting empty. Carpet, old plaster walls, smelled of grease. It was filthy, filthy dirty. Hadn't been utilized for years, not doing anything. And so I rolled up my sleeves. I asked the council to do the same thing. We rolled up sleeves. We were in there with hammer drills, taking plaster off the wall. I mean, old style cement plaster, 1.5 inches thick, off the walls to expose the brick, ripping up carpet. This was a blood, sweat, and tears project. But I want it to be an example of what's possible. Again, we've got to believe anything is possible. So again, this is just a matter of creating space. This is the deli that you'll see in use and be able to go soon and eat. This is down the way. We've got a demolition grant, a $500,000 okra blight removal grant that we were awarded last year. And you're going to start to see 4 large structures in Union City torn down this spring. And that breaks my heart. Because once they're down, they're done forever. But we've got to have a plan in its place. We can't just have an idle lot. We don't need another downtown park. We don't need another empty lot. So for example, this is going to be on the northeast corner of Oak and Columbia Street. Our Mexican restaurant owner, who just runs a phenomenal business, and she's ranked as one of the best hole-in-the-wall Mexican restaurants in the entire state of Indiana, actually has been awarded that. She wants to open up a chicken bistro down the way on the corner. And there's other plans for it. So as soon as that building comes down on Oak Street, this is going to be going up on the corner. New life, a second start. Our housing project. One of the dire needs that our county has is we have a very, very lack of homes, as Mr. Paul Faddis will attest to, sitting in the back there. In fact, when we had a meeting here with the county commissioners a couple months ago, Paul stood up and said, we literally only have 2 homes for sale or available in Union City at this time. That's not enough. Not if we're looking to add a couple hundred jobs here soon on the west end of town. That's not even remotely enough. We need to be better equipped. We need to be better prepared. And we need to expect more of ourselves. Because the bad thing is, what we're doing, folks, right now, is we're missing a window of opportunity if we're not aggressively pushing ourselves, pushing our leaders, pushing our neighbors, pushing our county to be the very, very best we can be. Because when those couple hundred jobs get added, if we don't have places for those people to stay, they will reside in Greenville, in Richmond, in Muncie, Fort Recovery. Nothing to knock those towns, but we are losing out in Randolph County. If we have a business owner in here, you should be losing sleep if we don't have enough homes for these people to live in. Because that's a coffee they're not buying, or a piece of clothing they're not buying, or a meal they're not having. We're missing out. So we need to do everything possible that we can. And this is going to be the Governor Gray Estates. We actually will be breaking ground here on Plum Street. It's a 62 home development on a plot of land just down from the school. We actually are going to name the streets after teachers that have been significant in our school system, but we've not revealed that yet. That's a major reveal, but we're excited about that because we want to honor our we want to honor our teachers. We won't tell. Yeah, thank you. But these are homes that we want to absolutely change the landscape in our community. But we will only be able to do that a home at a time. And this is Rock, what you see. Rock is renovating our community. That's a 501c I started right after I took office. It's a not-for-profit band of volunteers. We're in there ripping out old drywall, ripping up carpet, doing everything we can to do without destroying the place completely, and then bringing actually skilled labor in to reconstruct it. This home was completed earlier this year, and our second home is slated to be finished in August. And actually, it was completed last year, I apologize. But our second home will be completed in August, right around the corner from it on Hickory Street. And we will do it one house at a time. I say, Chad, you're not making a big impact just doing one house on a pace about one a year. That's not the point. The point is, we're doing everything in our power to make a difference. I'm going to be talking to K through second graders here in about, I need to hurry up, about an hour and 15 minutes. It's got me excited and terrified at the same time. But the one thing I absolutely want to impress upon them, and I work to impress this upon the third through sixth graders I spoke to a couple months ago. And that is how much they have to offer our community. How much they have ideas and creativity that they need to know can be unmatched. And they can make just the biggest impact in this world, just starting right here in our community of Union City in Randolph County. They need to know that. I want them to know that. I want them to live it. And I want them to breathe it, act it every day. Because we have not even seen what's possible yet. The only thing holding us back is ourselves. I promise you that. So this is also another piece, I'm trying to come at from all angles. So this is the Governor Gray Mansion. If you're familiar at all with Union City, there's a 2-story dilapidated house that sits on and my wife hates it when I do this because she's like, Chad, I don't think in directions like that, but it's on the northwest corner of Howard and Pearl. It sits overlooking Artisan Crossing, overlooking the park. It's actually a home built by Governor Gray. Isaac P. Gray, governor of Indiana, served 2 terms, lived in Union City, from Union City. He actually was responsible for Monument Circle in Indianapolis. Very significant gentleman in our state's history. And we have ties to him right here in Randolph County. He had this home built. We need to do what we can to preserve it. But not only that, we need to make it useful. So what was originally a suites idea in the top of Vision Corner now is a suites concept for this. This would be a 5, possibly 6-bedroom suite. And I've already gotten commitment from our corporations that yes, we are interested, and we want to support that because it would give their folks somewhere to stay when they come in. You know, they have engineers and other personnel coming in for 2-3 weeks at a time. We're missing out on that. So that's what you will see down the road on the corner across from Artisan Crossing. We are going to continue to approach this from every angle with vigor. So I could go on. I haven't even talked on Community Christmas in the Park and how it's grown and all the different things we have, all the businesses, the ice cream, all the different businesses we have going on downtown, all the different things we're doing. And I mean, you got the wrong guy up here if you want to get out of here quickly. So I could talk ad nauseum about all that. However, you know, this gentleman, he could have a ton of quotes I could have up here because he was a phenomenal leader, and I could not even hold his handbag. I'm not even worthy of that. But this gentleman, one of the things he said, in success not being final, but failure is also not fatal. Okay, so those first 2 lines are so critical, okay? Because when we do something well, let's celebrate it, but let's not stop. Let's do something even better, okay? Let's not rest on our laurels. It's that bad habit that got us into some of the problems we're in today. I hear all the time about the good old days in Union City. Well, you know what? They're gone. That doesn't mean tomorrow can't be the best of old days. Okay? Failure is not fatal. We can't be afraid to make mistakes. We can't be afraid to not succeed. What we got to do is learn when we make mistakes. Learn from it and be better. Because it's the courage, it's having courage to continue that truly counts. That's what will set us apart as a county. That's what will make the region stand back and take notice that there's something going on in Randolph County and we need to be a part of it. And I'm thankful for that because one thing I left out earlier is Vision Corner. It was ranked the #1 project of 140 projects submitted for READY, which is an 8-county conglomerate. So surrounding 8 counties, I think they're contiguous, 8 counties in the east side of Indiana put together all their best projects. Of 140, Vision Corner is ranked #1. We're capable, folks. We're very capable. So I'm excited by what's next, and we will get there. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mayor, and I just have one question. Were you an evangelist in another life?
Nope.
Boy, if you don't get the message and you want to jump up and say hallelujah, I don't know who's going to help get you to that point. We do have one more speaker I would like to bring up, Cian Bales, Executive Director of Randolph County United, who's going to tell us a little bit about what we can expect from her office this year and maybe the good things that have happened in the past. Cian, welcome.
So I'm just going to take a very short few minutes because I want to make sure we have plenty of time to ask questions of our elected officials. Jackie is going to pass around some information about the cultivating community work that Commissioner Wickersham mentioned in his thoughts. As Jackie's passing that around, Greg is right. The energy that you get from these three individuals is amazing. And I can just share that lately I've been doing a lot of reading on rural leadership and innovation and the lack thereof, and rural communities who are surviving like change. They're innovative, but unfortunately that's difficult in rural communities because we like the good old days. And we're sometimes fearful of the unknown, and that makes it difficult for rural communities and us to change. And I've been asked, as you start seeing these items that we're accomplishing in partnership with the Community Foundation, that how are you accomplishing all this? How is this happening so quickly? And I'm able to say it's because we have leaders like who are sitting behind me that are not as scared of change, who are innovative, who do believe the best days are yet to come, that we can learn from our past, grow from that, be proud of it, but also not know that that's all we are. And so with that said, I agree with Chad that our best days are yet to come, and I can say that with some data behind me, if you're a data person, that because of these sheets, this sheet right here, because we were fortunate, our office, Greg did this, Greg reached out in 2018 to Ball State University and said, I think we need to do economic differently. I think we need to focus more on quality of life, community development. Missy Williams was his counterpart at the time, and so they got together and said, you know what? We need to make some changes. We need to be innovative. We need to look at a different way of doing business in Randolph County. And we need to focus on quality of place. But we need to do what Mayor McCoy said. We need to collaborate. We need to work together. And the Community Foundation came up behind Randolph County United and said, we want to collaborate with you. We have a funding source through Lilly that we will continue the work that Randolph County residents in 2019 said we are most concerned about 5 issues. And those 5 issues are what Mike Wickersham mentioned and that are on here. It's housing, quality of life, the drug epidemic, which we looped into the quality of life, education, and technology. Thousands of people engaged all across the county and said those are the areas we want someone to focus on. And so Randolph County United, that new group that's the partnership between the Economic Development Chamber and Tourism, our board said we will lead those 5 efforts in partnership with the Community Foundation, but we will lead them and facilitate them because it's not going to work if one organization owns it, right? It's not going to work if this is not what I love the Ball State folks told us the other day. You have to see the cultivating community work as a movement. This isn't Randolph County United. This isn't the Community Foundation. This is a movement that we just have the privilege to help facilitate and lead, but it's the people of Randolph County that are making it happen. And so you can see on this sheet, I'm just going to highlight a few things, the coffee series and coffee and collaboration. This meeting right today is because of Cultivating Community Movement. This is happening because of the work of Greg Beimer and his team that are making that happen. Housing, very exciting. We are looking, just had a meeting last night, we're calling them action teams. They are looking at a homeowner incentive program based on need. So we're looking at that. Quality of life, I'm gonna focus on that last. Education, Lynette Clark, our new staff person, who is heading up this initiative with all 5 school corporations and the Workforce Development Coalition. We are going to have, for the first time ever, a county-wide internship program for all 5 schools. She's contacted over 70 businesses to help get them involved. Right now we have 18 that have totally committed. We know it's going to grow organically. But the idea is this: if I'm a student at Monroe Central that is really interested in, say, the lumber industry, I might not know about Frank Miller Lumber in Union City because my guidance counselor and people, they are so incredibly busy. They focus kind of right here. So that's where Lynette's been able to come in, be that connector to all the businesses in Randolph County, that youth might be able to travel to Union City and have an amazing internship program in Union City that they would have never experienced if they would have just kind of stayed within the Monroe Central boundaries. And so that's the model. It's going to grow. We're starting it kind of at a smaller level, and we hope it's going to grow. We have a lot to learn, and so I'm excited about that. And that, again, is directly being led by this effort and people outside our offices. Technology, Mike's already spoken to that. Education birth to 5, Lynette's also leading that effort, and we're, Jennifer Lee help us getting that going for a child care coalition. Child care is huge to economic development. We have to make sure that we don't become a child care desert. Like I was just in a meeting with my counterparts in those 8 other counties. We are the most blessed with child care facilities thanks to our YMCA and our elected officials who help support that child care facility. And so but we could lose it. They're hard to manage, they're hard to keep up, they're hard to sustain. And so this group is really wanting to come in behind our child care facilities in the county and help nurture them. I leave the best, I think, to last is quality of life. And you can look on the sheet, I just want to share one thing. And you talk about innovation. We're in a meeting with some really dynamic people, and they're like, you know what we need to put on as a long-range goal? I'm like, what? A kayak route. Kayaking in Randolph County. Didn't know that was even said in the same sentence. Well, if you didn't know, we actually used to have, some people still do it if you're daring enough, kayak along the Massindwa River. There's actually launch pads in Ridgeville that you can go see. They're deteriorated now. The people used to launch off of this. And so we have the DNR of our county very engaged, very excited that I thought it was going to be a long-range goal. We are actually looking at trying to get funding to open that route in the fall at the latest next spring. They say it's going to be an ideal route. It's about 8 to 9 miles. It's a 7-hour trip on a kayak, I hear. And that's perfect because it's a day route that we can even vision. I don't want to, Chad would think big. We're thinking big that's going to create businesses along the route and, bring in people for tourism, etc. And so who knew, right? Collaboration. We got the right people in the room that are passionate about that. We also are starting a trail group, trail action team. And so I'm really, really excited where this is going. And we wanted to take this very short moment of this meeting today to celebrate where we've come with cultivating community movement. We have over 60 people now engaged in those different action teams. Again, thousands of people helped decide those pillars. We had over 250 people this last summer engaged in trying to define what those specific goals were. Then we've had another 60 people continue on actually doing the work month to month to month, and we want that to grow. So if you're interested in one of these, let us know. We're super excited about it, and we are going to make things happen in Randolph County because we can be innovative. We can be one of those case studies, I'm quite confident, in future research that looks back and said, how did Randolph County stay on the map? How did they actually grow when most communities are declining? It's because we have innovative leaders. We have innovative community members who are willing to collaborate, work with each other, willing to disagree, and come up with a better solution for Randolph County. And I am just thrilled to be just a little part of that, and thanking the Community Foundation of Randolph County for your partnership and our elected officials for being right there with us and believing in quality of place. I hear my counterparts saying, I wish our elected officials knew what quality place even was. And so you've heard all three of them talk about it, which means they've got it. And so we're gonna be moving and going places. So with that said, I'm gonna turn it back over to Greg so we can hear and you can ask your questions of our elected officials, which is why we're all here today. So thank you.
Questions, anyone? Jim Bird.
I have a question for Commissioner Wickersham.
Morning, Jim.
Good morning, Mike. You're right, the road past your house is very nice.
Thanks.
Northern Old 27, they're gonna put an alignment shop right at the edge of town because you gotta get your car aligned once you drive through it. It's right. And it's the same thing, like you said, nothing's done for years, except out the right edge of town.
Well,
So is that a plan to do that?
I believe Old 27 North would be a plan. I don't know where it is on the plan. That would be a question for Mike Hafner at the Highway Department. I do know the bridge that's in the city of Winchester, which I'm trying to get the mayor to buy, is a county project that's slated for federal funding in 2024. So I would suspect that that road should and would receive improvement prior to that time or at the same time. So I appreciate that. Yep. Yes.
Can I ask a question while you're still up here, Mike? Like on some of the county roads, as Mayor McCoy mentioned, just with the water problems in town, we're getting a lot of that flooding across the county roads out about southeast of Winchester. Are those situations, does that go back on the farm owners for their stuff, or does that come back to the county?
That varies. If it's a public drain or tile, that is a county responsibility, and the county has maintenance funds in the ditch assessments to take care of some of those. Some of those don't draw enough maintenance fund to do that, so those projects are handled through the General Drain Improvement Fund, which through wind farm funds, we put some money into that because it didn't have any money in it for a lot of years. We put some money into it, and it's kind of like a revolving loan fund. And that also allows property owners to improve the drainage on their own property, and that would be private drains that connect to public drains. And if a community wants to do that, or a neighborhood wants to do that, then they can borrow from that General Drain Improvement Fund to pay it off, and then have an assessment put on their taxes over a 5-year period to pay that back. So it really varies depending upon where you are. And again, if there is an issue in the county with drainage, then I would highly recommend to either call a commissioner or call Ed Thornburg at the surveyor's office, because he will be responsive to that. You might not hear the answer you like, but at least you have the information to know where to go after that. Yeah. Any others for the county while I'm up here? That's good.
Any other questions in general for the mayors or CM? Are you pumped? Oh, it's Missy.
Bob, can you explain a little bit about how you went out and got businesses to collaborate and work together and actually put a bridge in at a very low cost?
I can't give a whole lot of credit. I can't take credit for that, but I mean, we talked about it for many years, that walk bridge there going into the park being in bad shape. And I didn't realize you just can't slap a bridge over a waterway without lots of approval, because I basically drew it all out in CAD and talked to Sheen Bosworth, our street superintendent, about it, handles their parks, and I said, hey, I can draw that out, and our engineer said, you can't do that. And so, we did manage to get the permitting, but yeah, so we pulled together Apex, Cobalt Civil, I can't remember the galvanizing company, which is Sheen's brother, is a big part of it, and they actually collaborated on that bridge. And we provided the materials and the engineering, and they pretty much just slapped it together, and we dedicated that bridge to them. So it was a collaboration of a lot of businesses, and they're always willing, if you ask, to step up and do a lot of that stuff. So they continue to do that to this day. If we have an issue, Chris Martin, a while back, we put in a lift station. We had some pipes not aligning for some reason, and he called out to Apex, and 2 hours they said, yeah, we can make that for you. So small communities there are a lot of positives to people knowing each other and having them connections. But yeah, that's great. Like I said, Sheen Bosworth was, he's the one that threw that all together. It's just kind of something that I told him I wanted to see happen, and he said, I'll make it happen.
Anything else?
Mayor Chad.
Yes, yes, please.
You spoke in regards to teaming up with Ivy Tech.
Yes.
I'm Darlicia of DBS Web Designs, and I work in the Wilder building down in Jay County.
Okay.
And of course, Ivy Tech's in there, a lot of robotics and things of that nature. I also homeschool my kids, so I wanted to know if you guys have spoke about 3D printing. I want this area to have 3D printing, and that would be a great program.
Awesome. Our Apache program, that's right down their alley. So absolutely. So, and I leave that to the experts certainly, but you're right. And I think I saw something, was it yesterday, Randolph County Extension with utilizing drone technology too. And I was so excited to see that. And that's also something that K.I.S.S has kind of stuck their toe in the water with. And so I thank you for that. I love that because that's essential. That's the kind of thinking we've got to have, the forward thinking. So great question.
Anything else for Mayor Spence? Yes.
Just a comment from the perspective of somebody that's back in a, what you call this, my second or third career to be involved in Union City. This meeting itself is phenomenal. And I say that because in 1952, when I somewhat date yourself, you sort of put on your helmet, and we used to come over to play pickup ball in Winchester now and then, and you really were vaguely prepared for a fight. I mean, that was the extent of what do you call it? Competitiveness, hostility, whatever the term is, was big. It's just this whole meeting, and this kind of collaboration, and talk about what we can do together and all that. I think it's a step by itself that you might not recognize unless you were coming into it just with the perspective I am of coming back almost assuming this couldn't happen, and here it is. And of course, obviously, there's a lot to go, a long way to go in getting full cooperation, collaboration, which is what Randolph County United is about. This is important stuff just because it exists.
Yeah, appreciate that.
And I really applaud everybody that's making this possible.
That's wonderful.
Who can remember when we didn't like each other?
A word that just always comes to mind to me lately has been being engaged. And when I took this job, I really thought that it would be working less. What a mistake! How dumb was I? But no, I mean I was working at mall technology and purchasing and been in manufacturing and different things like that. But I really thought, you know, I can slow down a little bit. I'm on the downside of my working career, so you know, one term and I'm gonna be done. And now I'm considering the second term, which everybody keeps pushing me towards. But I probably will. But the word engaged, it keeps coming to mind. And I mean, I look at Mike and Chad. I mean, we're all engaged, and if you're not engaged, you're not going to get anything done. And it's not being engaged from 7:10 when I get to work to 4 o'clock or so when I get home, and then have to go to other meetings. And it's engaged all the time. So you really, it's a full-time job. It's really a full-time job. So I'm working a lot more than I thought I would. So.
So, folks, with that, we're going to wrap it up. And again, thank you very much. Linda, thank you for, again, hosting a wonderful facility. Take a donut on the way out, or 2 or 3. Again, thank you for being here. When someone tells you, hey, there's nothing good is ever happening in Randolph County, tell them what you heard today about our cities, towns, our county. Tell them what was in this little handout. Even in our smallest towns, there are good things happening. People are leading and taking progressive action. That's what's going to keep propelling us forward for young people just like that guy right there. So thank you for being here, and have a good weekend.